When they turn it on.
Conference.
Recording. And I'll type the other recorder.
Little shorties and it comes in. Such a help.
So I will go ahead and call the meeting into order at 11:04. Good evening, my name is Brian Rogan, and I'm the acting chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission. This meeting may be attended in person or by remote video or telephone conference. Zoom conference access information was provided for the commission, members, applicants, and other interested parties to participate, and notice on the agenda posted to the town website. For all those attending, I would ask that you mute yourselves if you are able to, so that we do not get any background noise issues. Please also silence your phones and refrain from answering while in the room. Be aware that voices carry in the room and from the hall, therefore please take conversations down to the library. I have some very important reminders. Every time you speak, you must state your name and title for the record. When we ask for public comments, please be patient, you will be called on. If you are online, the planning and zoning staff watch for indication from those attending remotely who wish to speak and will alert me, and will also try to monitor the raised hand option. Please note, we prefer you not use the chat feature, we need verbal testimony. Please speak clearly and directly and closely into the microphone, whether remotely on your computer or at the podium, so that the recording picks up your comments. The clip on the mic seems to work the best in this room. We must be careful not to speak over one another so that everyone who is listening can hear what is being said and we have a clear record. For this reason, as necessary, when it comes time for commission members to comment and ask questions about particular agenda item, before any action is taken, and then to vote on the agenda item, our planner, Maureen Juicy, will call the roll as needed. Please silence any devices. Also, for the record, the regular meeting is being recorded and recording will be posted to the town website. I am now going to have Maureen to take attendance by calling the roll. Thank you.
I'll take the roll, then we'll do the pledge, and it will change the order that goes to the meetings or on the agenda. June Bailey, here. Andrew Lou Millard, here. Diane Jortsey,
Here.
Timothy Sigmont.
Here.
Brian Rogan,
Here.
Joan Bailey.
Here.
Dr. Noah has to be excused. Steve Biella Jr., alternate.
Here. Here.
John Dyken, alternate.
Present.
Okay, so you, one alternate should be seated in place of Scott Hamilton.
Okay, I will ask Mr. Dyken to be seated.
Thank you.
All right, and may I ask everyone to rise for the pledge of allegiance? To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic to stand one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so we have one announcement, under old business, item C, the application of Little House Living LLC, prepared by Christopher J. Smith, Alter and Pearson, submitted pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 830G Affordable Housing Land Use Appeals. We have been given an extension on by the applicant, and we do not expect to make a decision tonight, so I will ask for a motion to move this item to the beginning of the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I can make the motion to move the item concerning the Little House LLC to the December 14th agenda.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
Okay, so just for clarity for anyone joining the meeting or listening online, the old business item for regarding the deliberation of Little House Living LLC, both the decision on the proposed text amendment and on the site plan approval has been postponed and will not be discussed during the regular session of the meeting. Will be rescheduled for next Thursday night at 7 p.m. at this special meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission. December 14th.
And, okay, thank you. And I believe that we also wanted to add to the agenda, our 2024 schedule. So moved.
So that was handed out at the last meeting. I'm looking for it. I loaded the wrong one. I loaded last year's, I'm sorry.
Can I get a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
That's been added to the agenda, so then I'm gonna share the schedule as proposed on my screen as soon as I can. I get it to all show. See on your screen, all but the January 2024 meeting, which I'll try to scroll. This was handed out at the last meeting.
Maureen, if I can, Mr. Chairman, through you. September 19th, I think is, excuse me, is the Berlin Fair Week.
I think it's the week before. I think we checked that, but let me look at my calendar and double check. Oh, it should be. You're right. I'm sorry. I thought we had double checked that. So this past year, what you did was schedule one September meeting. We ended up adding one, but you can either move the date or the week before is the 12th, the week after is the 26th.
What is the feeling of the commission?
Well, I don't know. I would rather just do the 12th of September. I think it's important we keep 2 meetings, especially with the workload that we've been given this last year plus. So I can't see releasing one of the dates, but I would probably opt for the 12th. And this way, when the new month rolls around, we won't be crunched between the end of September and the beginning of October. My feeling, but I think it's 6 of one or half a dozen of another.
I agree with Chairwoman Veely that the earlier week on the 12th would be preferred. Just because of commitments that I anticipate with other commissioners for Both Berlin Fair and possibly Durham Fair, which is the weekend after.
Oh,
Motion to approve the schedule with the change to 12th September.
We have a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
aye.
All those opposed? So move.
Do we need to remove on the 19th with a vote or we're just changing it? Okay.
All right, so let's get down to business. Bond reductions and releases. Item A, Turnfield Boulevard Mixed-Use Building Development Site Bond Reduction. So Maureen, what are we looking at?
So Steel Boulevard, needed, in order to get their CO for the building at 10 Steel, that's the one on the right-hand side as you turn onto Steel Boulevard. They had not done some of their architectural details. They hadn't come in yet. That included awning, shutters, the street lights, and some landscaping. That they have all been, the amount was calculated at a higher amount before they were installed. They have completed and installed all those things, so we're suggesting that the bond be reduced to the landscape maintenance amount of $2,079.
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So moved. All right, item B, 3036 Commerce Street, site bond release for planting installed 2022 per settlement agreement.
So a bond is required with regard to this. I'm going to ask that you postpone this to at least the next meeting at 12/14. Postpone it to 12/14, and then we'll determine whether or not it can be adjusted at that time, so that staff can do a re-inspection due to a recent report regarding some of the plants that previously had been doing okay.
Motion to take this item 12/14.
Do we have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. Item C, 239 Christian Lane, site bond release landscaping.
Engineering has inspected and found that the bond of $2,530 can be released. This maintenance period.
Do we have a motion?
Motion release bond,
Do we,
239 Christian Lane.
do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? So moved. All right, on to new business. A, site plan amendment application of James Cassidy representing Nadu Realty Group LLC for construction of a 9,600 square foot industrial building and related site improvements at 384 Deming Road, MBL 10-2-83-11B in the BT1 zone. Welcome.
Thank you.
For the record, my name is Jim Cassidy, professional engineer principal from LLC Pearson and Cassidy, located at 630 Main Street in Cromwell, Connecticut. I'm here tonight actually on two applications. I'm going to try to keep them separate from each other. Because they're actually two different developers, but there may be a little bit of overlap, so I do apologize. So the first application we have before you is for an amendment to a site plan for a property located at 385 Devon Road. The property owner is Nadu Realty LLC. The overall site on this first page I have up is an existing condition site photo. The property is outlined in red, consisting of 2.2 acres of BT1 Berlin Turnpike zone land. On the right, or this would be the north is to the right, is Deming Road. Is bounded on the west or the upper portion by property of Maydew Group LLC, which is the other subject of the application, the next application, with the address of 370 Deming Road. It's bounded on the back or in the south, actually by an sewer right away, and is bounded down on the bottom or the east along two properties along the Berlin Turnpike, one being the hotel. In addition to, there's the, I think it's Blue Lobster restaurant is along the Berlin Turnpike. Presently, if you take a look at this site, there are two buildings on it to the rear. They both kind of like storage or contractor storage space. The total building area on the site today consists of about 12,000 square feet. I'll let you know that this property was actually the subject of a lot line modification back in 2002. There actually used to be, if I go to my next page here. I don't know if you can see this, but it's actually originally three parkings. There's green lines on the plan. The one of the 307, there was actually a jog in the front here, so it actually had less frontage. There was a smaller parcel up front, and then there was a big parcel 400 to the back. What happened is, as the two neighbors basically settled on who owns what property, they made a modification to the piece at 370, created the new red line. Then they took the piece, the little piece, and combined it with the big piece. So now we only really have these two lots out there. So we've been hired by Maydew Realty to finish up the development of this piece. It had been before you some time ago when they were looking at rebuilding the building on the front portion. They're looking to move forward. This again being Deming Road.
Did you email me these?
Can I email you a copy of these?
Or did you?
You have, if you have,
I'm not finding them.
I can give you on a flash drive.
That would be perfect, but I can share what you're talking about.
Do I give you a second?
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
It's gonna be the, there's two files there, the one that they want the 385 extension on. 384 extension.
This was 384.
It's just 384.
One.
So Maydew Realty would like to finish the development of this property at this point. What we're looking to do is build a new one-story building with a footprint of 9,600 square feet. Right now, based upon the zoning table, we have it classified as an industrial use. There are no prospective tenants for the building. At this point, they would just like to have their approvals and also be able to build it so they can market the building to prospective tenants. Therefore, all we're asking for is a site plan approval at this point. We cannot tell you the end user. If it was to be some user that requires a special permit approval, we'd actually have to come back to this commission to actually put them into the space. But based upon the existing users in this, even this little development, they tend to be more like storage type space or not manufacturers, but distribution of, we'll say, heating goods or some kind of building supply, small, very small users. The building itself be parallel to Deming Road. There is a common access driveway that services both properties. That driveway was recently rebuilt as part of the settlement of the property lines out here. So that driveway runs right down the middle of the property line. There are cross access easements back and forth to each one of the property owners that both can use it. Access to this building will be off that existing access driveway, providing parking in front of the building for a total of 20 parking spaces in front of the building. Based upon the use, and again, assuming it was in some type of industrial use, which required one space per 500 square feet, we would need a total of 20, 20 spaces. We actually on site are gonna have a total, with the back properties, a total of 47. The back is basically used for storage. So with your storage use, you have a requirement of one space per 1,000. So you need an additional 12. So at max, right now, they need like 39 spaces. We're at 47. So there is some room for some flexibility of different users that come in, but I can't tell you specifically what the number is. And again, if it's something as a special permit criteria, we need to come back to the commission for approval and prove that that this site would adequately support it. On your plans, there obviously is a zoning table. Just a blow up the zoning table in BT one zone. Minimum requirements, so we had a minimum of 2 acres, the site's 2.2. We have a minimum requirement of 175 feet of frontage, we have 224.15. Our front yard setback minimum is 50, we're at 80.67, side yards we're at 25. The existing building, one corner is 5.83, but the new building will be at 25.68. The rear requirements are 50, the existing back building's at 57.9. The structure itself will be under 35 feet. And I think the most important part is overall coverage, building coverage allowed to be 25%, we're gonna be at 21.7. For drainage on this site, if you were to go out there today, if you go out there today and you take a look at the topography, what you find is the grade along Deming Road is about elevation 72. That's the high point. It's sloping away in a southerly direction. I'll go about 3 more. Sorry, I'm jumping around, buddy. One more. That will do. We'll do it right now.
Just I zoomed in, so it won't flip the page.
So you'd find that Deming Road is a high point, everything slopes in a southerly direction to the back of the property. For the existing site, the existing parking areas, what they have is a series of catch basins that are actually connected to dry wells. Everything's allowed to infiltrate back into the ground. As part of the new development, we're proposing 2 underground infiltration systems. One at this front northeast corner of the site. This will collect a couple of catch basins in the front parking lot. Convey it to an underground system where it will also be allowed to infiltrate into the ground. In addition to, we're gonna have one in this new back drive area. This one will pick up some back catch basins in this parking lot and also all the roof leaders for the building. The materials out here are a gravelly soil with the infiltration rate of about actually about 10 inches per hour, so it's a very high infiltration rate. We've actually done it. We had a prior site plan approved for the site next door, and there's existing systems like this on site that are functioning properly. We ran a stormwater model and we find that that would be more than sufficient in site. So post development, you'd actually infiltrate all the water in the ground, nothing actually runs off the ground, it actually goes into the system and infiltrates back into the ground. Other utilities, there is a gravity sanitary sewer main in the road. We're providing gravity sanitary lateral into that main building. There's also water main in the road, so we're providing water into the new building also. The existing buildings, I'll let you know, are serviced by force main because they are lower. That force main runs up the side property line, ties into the main road. We're not going to be disturbing that force main. Same with the water and electrical service, they all run down that side, so we're not going to be disturbing those at all. Landscape. As part of our site plan application, we submitted a landscaping plan. What we're proposing is along the front to create a series of street trees, canopy trees. Right now, we're looking at sugar maples at about 50 feet of center along the entire frontage. In addition to within the parking lot, the regulations require that we provide 15% landscape area within the parking lot. So we have these series of islands with ornamental trees within the islands, so the landscape islands. We're actually about 17.6% landscape islands in the parking lot. And then along the side of in the front of the building, between the sidewalk and the building, we'll have landscape islands with some low growing shrubs, such as blueberry, and boxwood in those areas. In addition to, there was some evergreens along that property line, they basically died over the years, so we actually are looking at replacing those, and we're gonna put new row of evergreens along that side of the property line. In the package, we've also submitted a site lighting plan, so we'll have a series of pole lights along the front, full cutoff, high efficiency, fixtures, LED fixtures, to shed the light back towards the building, so it doesn't spray back out into Deming Road. Same thing on this west side or east side of the project, there will be a light pole that shed light back towards the building, and then a couple light poles along the back that will also shed light towards the center. But the photometric plan demonstrates that we don't have any spill lights onto adjoining properties. We're going to flip back to the building plan.
You are.
I am. I consider it. So as I mentioned, the building's overall footprint is 9,600 square feet. The bottom of this would be Deming Road. We're looking at dividing it into 4 spaces. So your largest space will be about 3,500 square feet, 2 spaces about 2,000 square feet, another one at about 1,600 square feet, make up a total of 9,600 square feet. Each of those spaces would have a separate entrance. Again, we're not sure what the users, it may get to a point where there might be a user that needs 2 spaces, so we can combine them. The building itself is going to be a 1-story structure when we face it from Deming Road. So this would be the Deming Road frontage. What they're looking to do again is break it up into 4 spaces. A gable over the main entrance. It would be a sloped roof with dormers on it. The roof would be architectural grade shingles in the slate color. The siding, the majority of the siding, they're looking at doing such as a hardy plank material and a sandstone color, so a very durable material. And then a water table on the bottom that would be a stone veneer in some type of a slate gray color. So you know, I would say a more Lincoln style appearance to the building, and then also white trim around the overall perimeter of the building. So as I mentioned in the application that we submitted, we had talked to Marine, and the big concern was the ultimate use. And as I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation, we're not sure. We have a developer that would like to finish up their site. They'd like to invest into Berlin, put up this building, and be able to attract additional businesses. If there are businesses that are a special permit, they don't meet the special permit requirement, they can come back for review at that point. In addition to, earlier when we walked into the meeting, Maureen had mentioned to me that planning and engineering is still doing their review on this project. So it's my understanding that they need a little more time, so possibly we can get a review and conditions that we need to meet by next week's meeting. But the problem we have is, I believe as of this Friday, we're out of time on this application this night, but I think it's been around for a little bit of time. So I did contact the developer. They are willing to allow for an extension of time to your next meeting to allow staff opportunity to finish the review and us opportunity to address any comments they would have. So with that, I'm going to conclude my presentation, hopefully answer any questions that you may have.
All right, commissioners, any questions?
Yes, have you talked about the catch basins in the parking lots? All those catch basins to go be oil separators in there and standards that we.
So what we do with the catch basins, something that Jim Horrible was talking about, and we've been using for years, is the APTEC filters. So we put that in each individual catch basin.
And we should include a maintenance program for
There's
it.
a maintenance program from the underground system. The other thing we'll do is where we inlet into the underground system, we usually make that first row toward an row. So the row that's wrapped with built fabric. Most of it can get beyond that also. And there's a maintenance program for the underground system.
I'm assuming the car wash site there was, it's the standard, there was approval on that property, car wash. And the trees towards the back of the hotel and going, I mean, I know all the way down that property line, most of them are died. So, you know, you only have the trees
against the back of the house.
on this, thing, so that, but I think the street should continue all the way down. the property line. Yeah, because, you know, they have died and over the years, and, you know, they got hit with bulldozers and everything else. That's- Oh, and, would you stipulate the hardy board texture?
Yeah.
I have a question. I'm looking at, there are other departments in town that have reviewed this and they have some concerns.
Yeah, so, the police department,
That the water control. Not clear, I mean, as far as the fire line. Engineering still pending.
so usually what happens when we get our site plan approval, we go for a building, permit, there's other steps we need to go through. We obviously need to file a permit with the water and sewer department, they need final design on the building, and determination as to whether we need to provide fire protection. If we do, then, we will provide fire protection system. I think that's kind of a standard comment.
The police commission is.
So the police, yeah, so the police condition comment, this goes back to, we don't know what the ultimate end user is. So we cannot say how much traffic is going to be generated until we know what that user is. Most of your special permit criteria items are high traffic generated uses. So at that point, if we do have something other than industrial or storage space, which doesn't really use much noise traffic, we would have to come back to this commission, and at that time, we'd have to present a traffic study. You have all your special permit criteria to show how that use fits into the neighborhood, how we don't impede traffic, how we don't impede utilities. That all would have to happen, but we can't do that until we actually have a user, and we can't really use it until we have a product to represent.
And that's a concerned area anyway. There's a lot of congestion in that
Right.
area.
Also, I'll let you know is if you recall, I mean, you can actually see it in my first photo. Or if you go back to that first, the aerial photo. You can actually see this is a process when they were actually redoing the property lines. You will recall the existing driveway going into the site used to have a telephone in the middle that was directly opposite Piscataway Road. It was definitely a tough intersection. We had worked with the engineering department when we did the lot line modification and had shifted the driveway over, and we look at the plan and the driveway today, it's full access in, but it's only a right turnout. So it's a restricted turnout, and that was a part of the engineering review we did back then. So we are aware of it, and, you know, we've been working with staff to make sure that that driveway functions properly.
Maureen, do you think this, at some point there should be a traffic study done for this?
I don't think for the use, I don't think it meets the requirements for one for this, for the proposed, just general industrial building. It's an industrial zone, it's allowed the square footage, for certain users. The zone, as, Mr. Cassidy explained, reminded everyone that there are some uses that will require greater parking requirement and or a special permit for those uses to go in. Any user, any new tenant, commercial tenant space, commercial industrial, should be coming through the zoning department for a certificate of zoning compliance, at which time we look at who's moving into the building, what their use is and what the zoning requirements are, and if they have to come to the planning and zoning commission, or if it can be handled administratively based on it being one of the uses that fits within the approval. Mr. Cassidy, noted a number of the items that I was going to comment on and be reiterating the next application. But our town engineer and I have done preliminary reviews, not finding any items that can't be resolved and or noted, but there are some items we would like noted in the unanimous approval, and that's why I asked him to see if we could quantify those for the commission prior to your making a decision, but that does require their extension that you provided. And one of the other comments was that that driveway was realigned. And the engineering or public works, worked to realign that, left turn lane to Episcopal Road from Denning Road and changed that in their, when they repaved, they reordered that. It did coincide with a lot line revision of when they did these, and thus they, with the realignment of their driveway, that was done compliant with engineering recommendation for that to be done when they. And Mike commented today, he was quite satisfied with the driveway, with the turn in lane and then the only right turn out. And that has improved the intersection in his opinion.
But it is a bear getting out of Episcopal trying to get a foot of road here, like.
Right, but they did the improvement that they could. There was a study done to actually change that, if I recall correctly, to a roundabout and some other items. Working within the constraints of the body. This use is not going to be, unless the proposed tenants meet a threshold of for a traffic study, they're not what would seem to be the issue with the intersection. That's not a result of this property. For the new building.
And I know we're keeping these separate, 370 and 384, but they're all gonna be exiting out of the same driveway, correct? And going
Yes,
into
it
the
is a
driveway.
shared driveway. It was, I actually did discuss with the applicant whether the items should be combined and discussed as a whole, because it's a kind of a unified site plan within the shared driveway, but it is two separate applicants and two separate property owners.
So we need to
And
keep
it's separated.
keep in mind that
That
the
they
other
are,
property is going to have cars coming in and out of their own car.
which, maybe another good reason to hear both applications prior to a decision as well. And allowing them to pull together the comments and proposal in a organized fashion so that it's clear what's proposed, what is happening, and what needs to be turned.
I wrote down, I believe, as you started your introduction, I thought you said it was a one-story building.
The one-story building.
And it appears it shows two-story building on the plan, and I'm not sure if that's different than what that would be.
I apologize. That's a ghost. We gotta do that, because originally the idea was to have a lower level, like a basement level, but we did away with that. So then you got me.
Good catch.
Good catch. Justin, take note.
Where's he did that?
It's just
Oh,
a noise.
I thought it was that. Oh,
3, 4, 5, many of the pages.
Anyone else? You
I have-
online?
I have a question, if I may. I'm looking at the architecturals that we have right in front of us, and I'm looking at the south side of the building. And I see the front of the building, you've sort of dressed out, and I think according to your testimony, Mr. Cassidy, you said that there was gonna be like, was it stone border on the bottom or whatever, or did I mishear that?
Yeah, on the front that you face at Deming Road, we have stone veneer.
Okay.
What are the two side elevations? So that would be the east and the west. where you would see the section from Deming Road that would put stone veneer wraps around about a quarter of that foundation. The back portion, we were not proposing to put any veneer on it. The back portion faces the existing industrial buildings that are to the back, so no one's really gonna see that portion of it.
Okay, but are there not businesses behind the back of this building?
Industrial type uses that they do zone, their own businesses that there is in the back.
Yeah. I guess my thing is that, you sort of did a nice job in the front and then it looks like you left the back of it unfinished. And I know that we're gonna have some housing that's gonna be back there and I'm not sure what the visual is gonna be. But are you going to perhaps continue the hardy plank down closer to the actual, oh, I'm sorry, my words escaped me. To the actual basement, so to speak?
And, you're seeing on the back is a foundation wall. The foundation wall comes all the way up to the first floor.
And that's all it's gonna be, is just like concrete. How deep is that foundation wall gonna be on the back?
Keep the wall exposed on the back side. If you would like, I can bring it up with the applicant. Well, obviously, now that we have another week, I can bring it up and see if they'd be willing.
Yeah, so see if there's something you could do, because I said, it looks like it looks like it's all fancy in front and then there's nothing in the back. And I always, as things grow on the Berlin Turnpike, I'm always aware of what other people are looking at. And it might be a nice finishing touch. The other question I have, if you don't mind, Mr. Acting Chair, Brian, is that I'd like to talk to you about the parking in the front. I'm assuming that you're putting all the parking in the front because that's where all the business entrances are.
Yeah, yes, twofold. The business entrances be to the front of the building. In addition to, when you take a look at the grade there, the way the building is set up, there's a plateau in the front section that's at the grade of Deming Road. As you go to the back where the existing industrial buildings are, that's 6 feet lower. So to be able to put parking to the rear and access this building, you would need stairways, elevators, ramps to actually get into the building, because it needs to be up at the elevation of Deming Road. So you really need to have the parking to the front of this building. Those existing buildings are significantly lower than Deming Road right now. So parking really if you want to have a successful building, successful tenant, you need to have the parking near the front entrance, easy access into the building, which I don't have at the back side of this building.
So that must be quite the slope then.
The front parking, where you're looking at the parking in the building, is basically a plateau. It's pretty level. Where we get to the back edge of this building, it drops off at about a 3-to-1 slope. It's maintainable. We're gonna make up that difference in grade with the building itself. So when the driveway comes down on the bottom side or the east side of the building, that will slope down to that lower grade and meet that lower grade of the park line to the rear.
Yeah. Well, I know that you are planting sugar maples, which, I think are fantastic in the fall. But I would also like to encourage you through the town planner to work on maybe doing some other plantings as well. I know that all of Deming Road, as you go closer to Christian Lane, a lot of the businesses are sprucing up their front appearance. And so with flower beds or whatever, even if it's just seasonal, one-time deal, they're making a difference on Deming Road. And especially when you have Field Stone Crossing there, and then you have the Adadio project south of where you are, plus you have Orsini's project across the street. I think it would really help your businesses, and I think it would just give an overall good continued appearance if we can see an enhancement on that. But I can let you work with staff on that.
All right, is that all the questions? Anyone else?
Yeah, I just got one more question. You brought up that it's a plateau in the front of the building. That's basically a new plateau. It's been built in. And with that, I want to make sure those footings in this building is down to virgin soil, because it was filled in pretty deep.
We have the right developer to know what they need to do with footings on a foundation.
Well, yeah.
All right, so we've been given some extension time, and I know that our staff would like a little bit more time to do review, so I could get a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to continue this until the next meeting, which would be December 14th. Maureen, do you need anything in writing for them for the extension, or are you guys good at your end?
I already discussed that with Mr. Cassidy, providing that to me by email.
Okay,
You have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
No public comment?
This is, public hearing.
Okay.
All right, under new business, item B, site plan amendment application of James Cassidy representing Maydew Group LLC for construction of a 4,500 square foot industrial building and related site plan improvements at 370 Deming Road, MDL 10-2-83-10 in the BT1 zone.
Good evening again. For the record, my name is Jim Cassidy, professional engineer, principal of the firm of Halsey, Pearson Cassidy, office located at 630 Main Street, Cromwell, Connecticut. Here tonight representing Native Group LLC for a site plan modification to the property they own at 70 Deming Road. So this is the property that's just to the north of the prior property, prior application we just talked about. The first one is again, a site photo. This site is more opposite Piscataway Hill Road. It consists of a total of 1.4 acres outlined in red on this plan. Off to the west or to the top is the apartment complex that you had previously mentioned. Off to the front or north would be Deming Road. Bottom or to the east would be the property of 485 Deming Road. And then along the back, it's actually in that sewer right away, and the development you talked about, I think Peter Dianio is doing, is to the south. You can see the disturbed area to the south of that, but we don't actually plan it for the sewer right. So this property still is the home of the New Brothers Foundations. You can see the light colored rectangle on this photo. That is their shop. That's basically storage and also their operation with the storage area to the rear of it. The building itself has a footprint of about 10,777 square feet. Topography on this property is similar. The grade along Deming Road is about 72. It actually dropped off to their parking lot where the elevation is about 61. So it's actually about 11-foot drop in elevation across this lot. In 2014, start with this one. In 2014, I was before this commission, at which time we did receive approval for the development of the 3,000 square foot building on the site. The footprint and the parking in front of it is what was actually approved at that point. The only change that you see here is with the lot line modification, we realigned the driveway. If you recall, the driveway kind of came out in the middle of that pole. So we were working with staff, we realigned that driveway. In addition to, at this point, we're back to you for a modification because, as I mentioned, for the prior application, as part of that modification, we picked up some additional frontage along Deming Road. So what they are requesting at this point is, number one, the prior approval was 2014. We would like to increase the footprint of the building from 3,000 square feet up to 4,500 square feet, so 1,500 square foot increase. Parking will still be along the front of the building. Excuse me. Based upon the use of a industrial, we're required to have a total of 9 spaces for just that use. We're actually providing 18 spaces along the front. Access will be off that common access driveway, so there's only one access back to Deming Road. I'm not going to bore you with all the zoning requirements, but as I showed you in the last one, there's a table on the plans, and we easily meet and exceed all the requirements other than the lot area requirement of 2 acres. This lot is actually 1.41 acres, but it's a pre-existing condition. We actually improved it by giving this lot some additional land on this corner, so it's a less non-conforming addition. And also the frontage, you required 175 feet of frontage along the roadway. We added about 30 feet in this location, so now we're up to 42.75. But again, it used to be about 112 feet of frontage before we did the modification. So we improved on a pre-existing non-conforming condition as part of the lot line modification. So overall parking again, for if we were to assume this use to be industrial, use required 500 square feet. You need one space for 500 for a total of 9 spaces. We are proposing 18. So if we do come in with a user that has a more intense parking need, we do have adequate additional space. We classified the back building as either industrial or as warehousing space. So it's going to range anywhere from 11 to 22 spaces. In total on the site, there's a total of 35 spaces, and there's adequate room to expand if we need to fix up additional spaces. Similar to the other site, it was previously approved for stormwater management. This site actually has a drainage system within the parking lot that actually goes through a culvert, actually runs underneath the building and discharges to the south side of the site. As part of our prior application for the 3000, we've also proposed an underground infiltration system. We are still proposing an underground infiltration system, although because the increase in the roof area, we've gone back to our calculations and we did have to make it slightly larger. So that underground infiltration system will pick up all the roof leaders and also the whole front parking lot, allow the majority of the stormwater to infiltrate back in the ground. But different than the other system, this one does have an outlet with a control structure to attenuate flow out of it. There'll be a new system run down along the side of the new building and then tying into just the drainage system. But as part of the stormwater report prepared, we're finding with this system in place, you would actually see a slight decrease in runoff from the site post development. Utilities. Right. Similar to the other building, similar to the other building, we'll have a gravity sanitary sewer lateral out, where we renew water service in from the main of the road and then tie into the existing building. The back building presently has a gas and water service that comes down this westerly property line and tying into the back building. The only thing we need to change with the back building is the back building is actually serviced by a low pressure force main that actually pumps up to the center of the site and ties into the existing main. We're going to need to reroute that force main around the new building and tie back into the existing lateral before it goes into the roadway. We've also updated the landscape plan that was proposed as part of the prior application. I got here.
Is it?
Did I not include it? So we're trying to mimic the same landscaping we're doing on the other building. So we still are continuing with the series of street trees, being sugar beetles. And then the same thing within the parking lot, we are required to have landscaping that equals about 15% of the overall parking area. So we've incorporated a series of islands at the end, a couple in the parking lot and at the ends of the island to meet the 15% requirement. Within those islands, we're looking at putting some canopy, ornamental trees such as broadwoods. And similar to the other building, we're also looking to have a landscape border along the front foundation between the sidewalk and the building itself with some lower shrubs such as inkberry and boxwoods. There's also a lighting plan in this package, the same type of lighting that's proposed on the other one, same vendor. So there'll be high efficiency LED fixtures, full cutoff, all designed to keep and disperse all the lighting onto the site itself. The building. So this is almost the same building that was approved back in 2014, other than what we've done because we added the additional 1,500 square feet. We added an additional entrance, so it can be broken down to 2 spaces. So it's going, this building is gonna be a hip roof, so a slope roof but with hips on the end. On this particular building, we're looking at having a gable over each one of the front entrances. Similar to the other building, we're proposing to do is have a hardy plank material for the upper portion, so a water table. And then the bottom portion would be a synthetic or actual stone on the bottom portion. This particular one, they're looking at doing it around the entire circumference of the building. I did talk to the applicant earlier today about colors. They said they're more than willing to work with staff. My recommendation is we should probably work with both of the buildings and try to complement each other with a color palette. But that's something that we can work with staff on this application also. Similar to the other application also, I did talk to Maureen before the meeting, and it's my understanding that they still are in the process of doing the review on this. And there's a request for some additional time to do that review and for us to be able to review the comments. I did contact the applicant similar to the prior applicant, and they are willing to grant an extension of time to your next meeting to accommodate staff and proceed with the review. So with that, I'm going to conclude my presentation, and on this one, hopefully answer any questions you have also.
Can I ask a couple of questions right off the hop?
Absolutely.
One thing we noticed was in the site plan that the parking encroaches into the parking setback in the right corner
Okay.
by probably 2 feet, maybe, just that corner space. I don't know if you've noticed that or addressed it, or that's,
No, I didn't know how to adjust it accordingly.
so, I think that should be that was an area of concern. And the other was on the rear elevation, you have the two, doors, the overhead doors. They dump to, parking spaces. I know you said you had extra parking spaces, and whether or not that's.
Yeah,
on the-
On this, one, we want the sufficient parking spaces, we can attach the space in front of it.
Yeah, you may need to do some realignment and lose some more spaces, so I just would like that, but you know, that's something that we can work on over the next week at minimum. But those are the two main concerns, as well as that, and noting, and this goes for the entire project, that Deming Road was just repaved, so. As would be typical regardless, but staff would want to make the note that any, tapping that have to occur into Deming Road is done to the satisfaction of Public Works. Because that is new roads, and they will be putting in new utilities into the existing piping in those roads, which is pretty typical, but I wanted to address it up front. Well, it's on my mind.
Oh, my day, do it the next week. It's got up.
They waited a few months.
All right, commissioners, how you doing?
I got a question, where's all the trucks going?
To the rear of the building.
Okay, so there's no, like,
Two pump trucks that sit out there.
well, it's just more than 2 pump trucks, you know, large dump trucks and pump trucks and
They gotta
a
go,
bunch of pickup trucks.
they gotta go to the rear of the building.
They have to go to the rear of the building, so, if they gotta go to the rear of the building, then we should mark the parking places back there or whatever to, make sure that we have a efficient parking place for all those big trucks. The other thing is that along the, I guess it's west, side, you got a residential piece of property. And that, you see the little trees there,
It's a pretty solid row of evergreens along that side.
well, there you see it down there, but it doesn't go all the way down again.
So again, for the only rule that you would try to plan on that side, is that's where all the utilities come into this building.
Okay, it's just, the problem is that I think the trees are on the other person's property. And you probably from that point towards the south, probably there's some foot trees in there all the way from that point there to all the way back, blocking off that two residential property. again, it was specified as the hardy board look. Uh, and again, like you said, the colors, whatever the colors come to be out. We have been in our industrial areas, taking a look at the industrial areas and make it like a canvas area. You know, trees and all the buildings the same and stuff like that. And like a chairman at home, there's a chairwoman at home, so that, you know, that is happening on Devon Road, Christian Lane. Really picking up and want to do their landscaping and grass is unbelievable.
Other commissioners?
I think Tim covered everything. My concern was with the landscaping on Deming Road and also the side of the building and the back of the building, the finished look. But it looks like this project, unlike the other one, is a little bit more finished.
Yes.
Okay,
From my understanding on the building, so this is 2-story. In
So the basement level on this one.
basement, I guess it's not considered 2-story because
It doesn't have windows, it just has 2 garage. So it's just some storage space in the basement.
And the garage doors are for, at the basement level then, for loading.
So they would face towards the existing shopping center.
And the restrooms I see for each side, there's like a tenant A and tenant B, that's at basement level or ground level,
That would be your first floor level.
first floor. And do we have potential tenants and nothing on that?
Again, you know, offers willing to invest in the building to try to attract people to the spaces. You know, my personal opinion is based upon its location, you're not going to get the high intensity you saw here. The issue has been what's called HVAC contractor, you know, it was a vendor for pump equipment, very low intensity. This is what we tend to get out here. Or as I said, you know, on this for myself. So a lot of traffic, although you require one space for 250, you can never use one space for 250.
Brian, if I can, one other thing I noticed as we're looking at these architecturals. You have, looks like delivery doors, garage doors, and then you have a personal door, garage door, or whatever. Are you gonna have, when you talked about the lighting, I know that it was gonna be parking lot lighting, but are you gonna have any lighting attached to the building for security for those doors, especially the ones that look like the personal usage as opposed to the loading dock doors?
Yeah, but there probably should be like a wall sconce next to each one of those doors. Just for, you know, security.
Okay, I, that was a little garbled for me, so would somebody,
So, I understand, I think for security reasons, I think there should be a wall sconce in each one of those doors for security reasons.
okay,
I'll bring it up with the applicant and find out what they want to do with locations.
okay, that would be great, thank you. And then one other question, are the windows, are they gonna be framed? Because they look, could you put like a more generous frame around the windows? The
Yeah.
architecture, I think it'll look a little bit better, and I'm not sure your overhang, your soffit overhang, is that, do you know what that's gonna, how wide that's gonna be?
I didn't bring a full set of building plans, to what I've seen, it looks like it's a 12-inch overhang.
Okay, so it's gonna be a very generous overhang. Where the roof meets the wall, so to speak.
So you have a trim board on the roof, right now on the plan, they lay a 4-inch corner board. I can ask them to beef it up a little bit,
Yeah, I think it'll give the building a much nicer profile. My opinion, of course, but I found that a more generous overhang, it helps with weather, all sorts of other things, but it also makes the building look a little sharper, cleaner. But that's all I got.
Anyone else?
Yes. The overhangs on the front, old, they go all like that on the building. The building like that was just one
gable.
but they could come out, from the building like this. So they,
You have 4 separate entrances on the RO.
right,
They come on and cover all those, massive roof structure.
Just want to reiterate, on this application, like, I don't think we got to it, but that it is in the BT1 zone. So any use of the building that is not compliant with the uses in the zone or would require a certificate of zoning compliance to the zoning officer to review, to demonstrate compliance. And, because it's not, the uses we've been discussing, are basically industrial uses. So we will be making sure, or the tenant should be, or the owner of the building should be advised that the uses would have to come back to the zoning, or to the zoning department for review and potentially the planning and zoning commission. Very these.
All right, so it's my understanding that we've been granted an extension so that our staff can do a bit more review. So on that note, may I get a motion, please?
motion to table.
Do we have a second? Second. Second. All those in favor? Aye.
I,
Aye.
All right, now on to public hearing. Mr. Dyke, would you please read it? Yeah. Town of Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission notice of public hearings. The Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission will hold public hearings at their regular meeting on Thursday, December 7th, 2023 at 7 p.m. in the Town Council Chambers, Berlin Hall, 240 Kensington Road, Berlin, Connecticut. Interested parties may join the meeting and participate in the public hearings in person or remotely as provided below. Proposed lot subdivision by Eric Kujarzek, Oakland Developers LLC for an additional building lot of 65 Savage Hill Road, MBL 17-3-143-1A in the R15 zone. Special permit with site plan application for Tom Kokomo Brothers for proposed garden center use at Walpole at 398 Chamberlain Highway, MBL 8-3-12F-6A, property of DAT Investments LLC in the R21 zone. Special permit use application of Richard Pentor Esquire for all drive services of Connecticut and Rhode Island for proposed building services use at 604 Rod Road, unit number 2, MBL 15-3-90-6-1-2, property of 4 Rod Holdings LLC in the PI2 zone. The applications and related meeting materials are available at the Planning and Zoning Department, Berlin Town Hall, 240 Kensington Road, Berlin, Connecticut. Remote access to this meeting is available by Zoom, video conference, the following link, meeting ID, passcode, dial into phone number. Dated this 20th day, November 2023. Berlin, Connecticut, John Dyken, acting on behalf of Brian Rogan, Secretary, Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission. And thank you, Mr. Dyken. So we will get started on item A, proposed two-lot subdivision of Eric Garzek, sorry if I mispronounced your name, Oakland Developers LLC for an additional building lot at 65 Savage Hill Road, MLB 17-3-143-1A in the R15 zone.
So the public hearing notice was rather lengthy, and as the commission is well aware, your agendas have become quite lengthy. So, and with working with the applicants, some of a couple of those items have been postponed, and while they won't, public hearing notice is out there, the agendas will be posted accordingly for a one-time schedule.
Okay. Good.
Good evening, Mr. Porter.
How's that better?
Good evening,
Mr. Chairman, acting chairman, and commission members, for the record, my name is Stephen Judison with the office of Gary Cole and Son, 876 South Main Street in Plainsville. Here tonight with Eric Charlotte, from Oakland Developers. Our proposal is for property at 65 Savage Hill Road. It's a 1.14 acre parcel in R15 zone. You can see by our map here, it's a very long and slender piece of property. Our property fronts about 611 feet on Savage Hill Road, and then another 90 feet along Mill Street right in this corner here. We have a vacant undeveloped property behind us, and then there's an existing home to the south that was originally part of the property. Our proposal is to subdivide this parcel into 2 lots. We have an existing home that was just constructed here. We're proposing to develop one more building lot at this location with a drive access on Savage Hill Road. We're proposing there's a public water, public sewer service for the proposed house, existing house. And the R15 zone block with approximately 25,000 square feet each, so they're well above the required square footage. Frontages requirement for 100 feet, respectively 343 feet on parcel 1B and 470 feet, sorry, 3B. We need all the front yard, side yard, area, setback requirements part of the application. We did need comments from staff recently. I know that engineering and finance were still pending on the review, and we get some comments from Maureen today. And the
I'm going to interrupt you for a second. Do we have anything that we can put up online?
Looking. You know, they were
I don't know.
I thought they were gonna send it in folder and.
Not as prepared as the previous application. Jim's a little older than me and he'll be prepared a little better than I did.
Well, while she's looking, maybe you could just move that a little bit closer so that it's caught on camera.
Okay.
For our people on
Camera
this.
is-
I guess that's better. Thank you. That'll work.
As part of our application, as Maureen mentioned, in her memo, we are requesting a sidewalk waiver for our application. And she noted there are no 6 existing sidewalks on Savage Hill Road. I think 410 feet away on the other side, and so a little close to the existing sidewalk. And no sidewalks within 500 feet of the property. And covered pools of more than half a mile away from the property, so there are no sidewalks there as well. We have a very large amount of frontage and a very small area along with some telephone poles with great conflict with from the sidewalk perspective. From the open space, to be honest with you, I hadn't anticipated open space. I don't know why I think it was a small subdivision. I just wasn't thinking it was necessary, but I understand the regulations require it. So Eric and I were discussing the possibility of conservation easements on each of the lots that would protect these green areas that we're proposing on the map. I do have a reduction of that map. I can hand out to you. Well, you can't see that anymore. Hopefully these will help a little bit. So the commission was open to us providing open space through conservation easements. We would like to incorporate that into our application. As far as overhead utilities,
As opposed to having to go it is eligible for.
yes, I think I would leave it to the commission. We have some areas of greenery that we or we request a waiver of that requirement. As far as there was a comment about overhead utilities, I think we're proposing underground utilities, so we're not requesting a waiver for that. Overall, it's a relatively small application. With just a little bit of activity for one proposed house. And Eric's here to answer any questions. If you're familiar with Eric, he builds a really rather nice home. and takes pride in the work, and we'll continue that with this application as we move forward. Any questions for me at this moment? Commissioners?
Yeah, small ones first, no?
I cannot find the screen, I can't. The digital copy, I'm sorry, one wasn't scanned.
Okay, I noticed this,
For the record, we
building.
were distributed. So the commission members all have the meeting materials.
house placement area, is 10 foot off the rear lot line. Most of our subdivisions required 30 foot of level or usable area behind the home. For the home, is there any movement of that home or that home or?
So your regulations allow us to designate which yard area we want to have in the rear yard on the property. So on this lot, we designated the area to the south as the rear yard, and that yard would be considered the side yard.
Is the area to the?
Right?
The 10 foot. So, and when you use your side yard as rear yard, you're talking, the area to the east or west.
It's very similar to the house next door. You notice, the house, the existing home on this lot has the deck off to the side of the property. This lot meets your requirements, your subdivision requirements as far as front yard, rear yard, and side yard. We're just jockeying the rear yard and side yard, to make for a larger building envelope. But it's completely in accordance, with your regulations.
Okay, well, I think the regulations say 30
So
feet to the
that
rear.
has been the interpretation of the regulations. The regulations call for a proposed corner lot must provide the required front yard setback from both streets. And the owner has the privilege of electing which yard is the rear yard. So they're providing a front yard, a minimum front yard requirement along Milk Street and a minimum front yard requirement along Savage Hill. So in accordance with section 4A11, the owner is by their privilege of electing the yard, direct quote, is choosing the southerly yard to be the rear yard, and therefore creating a building envelope that has a 10 foot required setback from the easterly lot line. And that is compliant with the regulations. And again, the building, what's shown on the plan is the building envelope of construction, which results in a 35-foot depth between the front line of Savage Hill and that rear required setback, but does not necessarily mean the building will go all the way to that distance either. That's the envelope. And I'll just remind the commission that the building square was amended last month, and so therefore the is now found to be compliant with the amended regulation as far as that goes as well. And one of the reasons this application was delayed. Before you get and for those of you online, I'm very sorry that we didn't scan the plan to share. I can bring it up if you want on the GIS to show.
Confirmation. And it got me on facing the east of the house placement.
We were proposing we would do two. We would do one in this green area here and one in this area here. To provide lasting.
Okay, so there wouldn't be any clear cutting in the area towards is so busy.
Right,
They want to block the traffic noise and stuff at the house.
yeah, we could do all of the green area, just do it all on the Mill Street corner, if you thought that was the best location for it.
Just
Or split it up between the two lots. Or we could do both, we can maximize it on both, because the lots are big enough that we have them.
Commissioners, anybody else?
I was just kind of thinking through the location of it, if you travel north across,
Mill Street.
Mill Street that goes east-west, I guess if I have my directions correctly, that heads to the fairgrounds. How close are the nearest sidewalks again compared to this lot? Because we do see people walking up and down that road way and crossing.
410 feet was the closest on the opposite side of Savage Hill Road.
So I measured from, look on your screen, this is the southerly end of that lot where the cursor is. The closest sidewalk I found was if you go down south on Savage Hill, you cross the street to Circlewood Drive. The sidewalk ends with the first house on the right on that faces Circlewood Drive, not the house on the corner, but the next house over on both sides of Circlewood Drive. And going in another direction, there's no sidewalks along Mill Street or Savage Hill Road. As far as I went out quite a distance, but up here at Pepin, I believe this is, there's that cul-de-sac has sidewalks along it. Obviously you can see in Stony Mill, they have sidewalks, but you access those by going across Mill Street and then up that way, Berlin Street before you get to that development, private development.
all across the street. Sidewalks.
There's sidewalks, I think there's sidewalks in front of just those few houses that street. Then, the closest school is, one of the provisions for waiving sidewalks is with regard to the distance to the school. We don't know of any proposals by the state for sidewalks along Mill Street or the town for that matter either. But the school is approximately half a mile. If you were to go up Mill Street, cross Mill Street, and then there's sidewalks on Grove Street that bring you to Hubbard School over in this area. So I did discuss sidewalks with the town engineer as well. And we're both the feeling that that is a commission decision. We've looked at where they are. There's not really any obvious connectivity in the near future. However, that's commission's working
Just they just put in a handicap ramp right across the street from Savage Hill Road. If you want to cross the street onto Beckley, there's this handicap ramp right there. Okay, with the sidewalks.
new right
Yeah.
here.
They just put them in. That is connection that's supposed to go to Berlin Street. Then Berlin Street has sidewalks down to the center of East Berlin. So there is a connection there. It is within a half mile of the school. So there is two things requiring the sidewalks. And Pepin development and all of Grove Street is all sidewalk too. So using a back planner's word, this is another piece of puzzle.
So they consider the amount of frontage we have on this property, and we're developing one building out of it. The comment was it's approximately a quarter mile to the school. If we're restricted, half a mile from the school, so if we need to verify the actual distance to the school, we'll measure it out by foot. But I think that, this application, you have the waiver for less than 4 lots or sidewalks for a reason, and this one falls into that category, very well.
Well, the school should be measured by, the way the bird flies.
No, that's a good one.
So,
I respectfully disagree.
well, that's what
I
they use.
think it's a mile, but.
It's a mile of distance,
I
yeah,
know.
but I know it's more or less than a mile, to Hubbard School. And the sidewalk from Hubbard School all the way up to Mill Street. And it happened to expand those sidewalks at Hubbard School too. They expanded the road, put more parking places on Grove Street. And expanded the sidewalks all the way up to Mill Street. And with the state putting in this handicap ramp going to nowhere right now. That's my special thing about the handicap road there being put there and on Grove Street.
I guess I have a tendency to support maybe what town has found is that there's not a real close connectivity to it. It just seems like it's just one property that would have sidewalk. At one point, I was just exploring it in my question to review again, looking at the map to be helpful, which it was, I think. Feeling, and I don't know that now is a good time to add the sidewalk, or it doesn't go anywhere, but a lot of opinions.
If I may, we also have some technical difficulties in installing sidewalks with the proximity of the edge of pavement to the property lines and telephone poles that are out there. So that's just one other difficulty we have with the sidewalk installation. Most likely would have to install a lot of sidewalk outside of the park. I'm not sure how the town feels about that, but that's what this, we try to hopefully.
Commissioners online. Ms. Neely, Ms. Jordan, anything?
No, I think you guys have covered it all.
I just am wondering if in my staff report, I didn't, excerpt the section with regard to sidewalks. The condition of the parameters, for exceptions to the sidewalk, and didn't know if you wanted that, or you just shared, I can try to pull it up, or if you're good, everybody is familiar enough.
So feeling of commission, would you like to hear the exceptions for sidewalks or good? Okay. All right, this is a public hearing, so if anybody from the public would like to address the commission, now is your time. Anyone online? All right, so what is the feeling of the commission? The public hearing.
My thing on the sidewalks is that this intersection right here, actually, is where they put a handicap ramp right across from the property. Okay, so the state is the state is, they don't put those handicap ramps in for no reason. That is going into the plaza there. You know, so sidewalks come down the property line here, and what is it, the clock shop up here? Circle with the clock shop and all that stuff up there do have sidewalks, so it's, I can see it be part of the connection going up. I know it is a long run. There is ways to do the sidewalks, if there's a pothole problem, monolithic, pour or whatever, I don't, they do have the engineering to do it. So that the plan is, with this here, and this section from here with the handicap ramp, is just plaza to Berlin Street. So they walk in the parking lot, they don't have a sidewalk, and then Berlin Street all the way down to Main Street, the sidewalk. With the Sony Mill condos and stuff like that. So it does. Connect and no sidewalk.
I believe that the state of Connecticut is in the process of adding ramps at all of the intersections, regardless of their sidewalks or not. And I think some towns are doing the same. So there is an effort all over to install ramps, especially where there may be crosswalk at intersections. I think the most recent, the highway travel road, and they probably want someone crossing the street to have a ramp at the intersection.
Yeah.
I don't know how this section of sidewalk is going to that big improvement. What I want to just point out about the county model board, the issue is the telephone poles and the width that we have from the curb to the property line. Your sidewalks usually fall on the shoulder, unless you put off the street line to the shoulder to get to the curb line. In that area of the property, in some areas, the curb comes right onto the property along Savage Hill Road. So we don't have the normal shoulder that we have to work with. So that was, I just wanted to clarify about that. One reason that I said it would be difficult from a construction standpoint. So, thank you. I know your public hearing is going to close it. I just want to thank you for your consideration of this moving forward.
I tend to agree that putting the sidewalk on this piece of property, we give advantage to anything. They are putting those ramps everywhere. They did it at the end of Orchard Road going onto the Berlin Turnpike, and there are no sidewalks there anywhere. The rest of Savage Hill has no sidewalks going up it. I just don't see the need to put in one small section of a sidewalk for this house. That's my opinion.
All right, Maureen, do you have anything else for us?
No, just noting and putting up the street view, it is all the street view, so I don't think it shows any of the newer. Don't see that it's showing the newer improvement up here, I can't tell. At this point, I think it was just done, but it just for everybody's assisting.
All right, well then, can I get a motion to close the public hearing, keep it open, table it?
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. All right, on to item B, special permit use application of Richard Pentor Esquire for all dry services of Con and Rhode Island for proposed building services use at 600 Four Rod Road, Unit 2, MBL 15-3-90-6-1-2, property of Four Rod Holdings LLC in the PI2 zone.
Good evening, members of the commission, Mr. Chairman. I'm Richard Pentor. I'm here tonight on behalf of my clients, All Dry Services of Connecticut and Rhode Island. They're requesting a special permit for the property at 600 Four Rod Road, Unit 2. And we're requesting the special permit in the PI2 zone under section Roman numeral 7, section E3L under building services, which is a special permit use in the zone. I do have a map if anybody would like me to display it, but these are existing.
I'd like to see where this is. I'm trying to get my
Sure.
bearings on it.
Sure.
Covered it up and make it answer.
The
And
property
they
is,
seem to have the same problem with the scans that I thought we had noted, but don't seem to be on the scan for the application.
the property is known as the Cornerstone Industrial Park, and this is Fort Rod Road. Here, you keep going down further on Fort Rod, you come to the intersection of Dorothy Road. Oh. Going down Fort Rod Road, you come to the intersection of Norton, this industrial park, it's a private, it's actually a condominium. I think it's approximately 30 years old or so. I know time goes by really fast, but there's some larger buildings. Cambridge Specialty has a large factory building that basically is on Fort Rod Road on the corner of Cornerstone Drive, and the roads in here are private, as it is a condominium. There's approximately 7 or 8 smaller buildings. Our building at number 2 is 4,800 square feet. Most of the buildings are about that size. We have 10 parking spaces. This is a project that's been approved, as I said, approximately 30 years ago as an industrial park. Let me just get back. But again, this is our unit, would be unit 2. There's also another building right here on the corner, which is a larger one. I forget who's in there right now. These are the smaller buildings as you enter the Cornerstone Industrial Park, and we're talking about this building. Previously, the building hut is a gymnastics studio, which is also a permitted use in the zone. My client's use is under building services, and what they are is they primarily are drying and cleanup services for property that is usually water damage caused by water damage. They're not a building company, but they will remove damaged property. They will bring industrial fans into properties, dry them out, remove any sheetrock or whatever materials cannot be salvaged. They're not a building company, or so they won't be storing building materials. They will have approximately 6 step vans that they use. They will be parked inside the building. We anticipate having approximately 7 employees. We have 10 parking spaces, which also includes 1 handicap spot. So we do have 10 parking spaces, and this is how these buildings were approved initially. We think it's a real good use for that area. Most of the uses in that industrial park have been smaller manufacturing concerns, some service companies, I believe. And the roads in there are private. It seems to work well, and we think that, you know, this use will also work very well. The company is actually a franchise of All Dry Services. This one is All Dry Services. My clients have the Rhode Island and Connecticut franchise for All Dry Services. We currently have 3 or 4 locations in Connecticut and Rhode Island. They hope that this location, which is centrally located, will house the Connecticut outpost of the company. I do have a couple of the principals of the company here tonight, Ernie Cloutier and Todd Coopersmith. If you do have any more detailed questions about, you know, the property and their use of the property, they'd be happy to answer any questions you have. Again, it's an existing property. We're not proposing any site plan changes or amendments. It is what it is. It's a condominium. But we think we qualify under the special permit use for the property.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Any materials that they may be removing from a home that's being grown removed or whatever, Where are they brought to? Are they gonna be brought to this building?
Ernie, why don't you? I'll have Ernie Whittier answer that question.
Hi, good evening, Ernest Gutierrez, and one of the two principals of Monument Country School. Generally, what happens is the debris is either taken directly to disposal, or for larger jobs, they actually have a dumpster or some kind of unit to take it away. We don't store that at our facility.
So what will be stored in this building?
So generally, this facility is for, as Rick mentioned, storage of the vans. So we prefer to park indoors at night. Some of the vehicles have equipment that have water in them, and so being outdoors in the winter months
Any
creates
chemicals?
a challenge. We do use cleaning, sort of sanitizers, antimicrobials, things like that. The other thing we store is, Rick mentioned, we have fans or air movers, dehumidifiers, air scrubbers, things like that. So that equipment, it's not on site at different buildings that are being restored, and they're stored in this building.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But you don't plan to make any adjustments to the site plan, save as is?
Site plan, it's a condominium too, so there's other restrictions. This is how it was approved initially. No, actually, there really isn't any room for us to make any additions to that site. It is what it is.
Anyone else, commissioners?
I have another question. I'm sorry, and maybe this is redundant. So, I have a nephew who he works for a company, so if there's a fire or there's mold and things like that, they go in there and then they dress up a hazmat. And, I don't know if you wash a rug or something, you get the water and anything else that's in it. Do they have this type of machinery, and where will they, if they do clean the walls and the rug or whatever, the solution that they use, including the water and anything that they picked up in the building or whatever that they've cleaned, how is that disposed of?
And so, thank you for your question. So there are, so first of all, we wear personal protective equipment. If there's significant mold or the like, for a fire, it's a lot of times it's about extracting the water, trying to preserve what we can of the home. And then it's actually a lot of wiping with rags, the soot and whatnot. If we're doing a extraction, sometimes they refer to class 3 water, which may have bacteria or other things in it. That water needs to be disposed of in accordance with the rules around the disposal of contaminated water. So usually that's,
That's a hazardous waste.
right, but that's never coming back to our facility. In fact, the fact is usually when there's a loss like this, it's generally covered by insurance. And so as a result, part of the whole process is completing the cleanup of the equipment, everything on site, because once we leave, we're not getting reimbursed by the insurance company. That makes sense. So all the cleaning of equipment, all the disposal of PPE, all those things happen at the customer location, not back at ours. Which isn't to say we don't clean our trucks and our equipment, but that's not involving
That's not-
what you're describing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Maureen, do you have any comments?
So the staff comments were provided. Again, this is, I just want to clarify for everyone that the use has been categorized as a building services use. That's separate from a contractor shop. We get a lot of inquiries for contractor shops. You have the specific listing and regulations. This is building services, and is one of the listed special permit uses for the zone. I agree with Ms. Pender's presentation that it's the kind of suitable small business that would fit into this type of zone that's the kind of use that seems to have been imagined. Or the categories that seem to have been imagined for the zone and for buildings such as these when they were built. As far as with the use of the building changes occupancy, that is all code requirements that the fire marshal, building inspector, and health district, if applicable, will follow with the permitting of new business.
Alright, this is a public hearing, so anybody interested in addressing the commission is now invited up to do so.
New commissioners, consent 240 Kensington Road. It's on the letter, and I just figured I would go through it quickly. At the November 2023 Economic Development Commission meeting, Ernest Goudet, owner of All Dry Services, spoke about his interest in purchasing the building at 604 Rob Road Unit 2 in Berlin. He mentioned he's in Stamford and Southern Mass, but no location in Center, Connecticut. He said the rolling location would likely become headquarters for All Dry, with the majority of its equipment, material, and the like at job sites as mentioned. When he's not at the job site, be inside the structure of 4 Rod Road, as you know, we want to make sure the place stays nice and not stuff all over the place. Economic Development Commission and myself personally, we're very pleased with All Dry Services at that location. The commission voted unanimously to support the application. I myself am very excited because I know that they have a growing business, have chosen Berlin. I think it's tremendous because not only are they coming here, they're actually going to be buying the building. So they're making an investment in a number of ways here in town, and absolutely thrilled with what they're doing and think it fits in well with our business communities. Just want to bring my 2 cents. Thanks so much.
Alright, anybody else? Anybody online? Okay, so commission. Joe. Sorry, Joe.
Well, no, I mean, I agree with all the questions that were raised, and I think you pretty much covered everything. This seems like it's a nice fit for the town, and it also seems like it's a nice place to fit in, so. Do you need a motion? Wait, we're in the public hearing, aren't we?
Yeah, it was difficult.
All right, so then I'll make the motion to close the public hearing.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved. I believe that's the end of the public hearing into commission business. A, zoning review of building permit application of City of New Britain for construction of solar panels on the Britain landfill at 0 W Road, MDL 10-1-83-2, the GI2 zone as approved by CT City Council.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I have to recuse myself from this matter. I'm an attorney for the city of New Britain, directly involved in this matter.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dyson, and I will ask Mr. Biella to be seated.
No problem.
Thank you. All right.
So, so you'll remember, hopefully most of you remember at a previous meeting, I admitted to my confusion with regard to a solar panel notice we had gotten from the siting council probably a good year ago when you approved the bill permit for the city of New Britain. There was presentation that they would be moving forward with solar panels on that property, which is north of Deming Road. It's Deming Road as well, but the address is actually off Christian Lane, and that the town would be working on an agreement with them with regard to those solar panels, both benefiting the city of New Britain as well as benefiting Berlin by providing further Cleveland building to be worked on with the building department. as it turns out, again, I missed that this was the site of the New Britain landfill to the south of Deming Road, that 0 Deming Road property. And they therefore had proceeded with their application to the siting council without comments from the town because I have the wrong property. And they did ultimately gain approval from the siting council for solar panels on that, at that location. However, we now have building permits and that's how it's all come to fruition. And I had told the city of New Britain that I would work with the planning and zoning commission for feedback and to hopefully ask that staff administrative approval ultimately happen, but I would like for the zoning amendments for that to be approved. I would like to add that prior to you thinking about that, the city of New Britain has also worked with the town, other town departments, including finance and ultimately the town council, to get a agreement with the town that provides for the untaxed municipal land, New Britain landfill, to result in taxes to the town because of this happening and that agreement was approved through the town council. So, Paul, our CEO, has done quite a bit of legwork with the authority the commission has, as well as, reported approvals and the report from the siting council and read through that. And you'll remember when I brought this up a couple of meetings ago, you had some environmental concerns. That was addressed in the siting council approval, where it specifically says the applicant replied regarding the burning of the landfill, but one of the siting council conditions is, quote, training to first responders that includes an itemized list of necessary suppression equipment. So I wanted to share that. I do have the siting council report to hopefully share on the screen. Again, the purview of the Planning and Zoning Commission is somewhat limited when the siting council has seen it, but it is a joint venture between, I'm seeing it as a joint venture between the two municipalities for mutual benefits to both. So discussion on whether they'll be coming to you otherwise and presenting, in which case we'll see if they're available for next week. They are.
So how does this work with our other solar panel regulations? Because I know we allow it for like big industrial buildings, as long as it's directly supplying the building.
Right, so this was for the site with the fill permit. Part of that discussion at that time, as I recall, was that it was benefiting municipal property.
I guess going right
I don't
off.
believe we're taking any of the generation from this, but we do have an agreement with the what do they call it? I was just about to share it. I have to figure out what they call it.
So I guess I'll start right off the bat there, because my big concern with this is maybe on top of the landfill doesn't matter, but opening Pandora's box and setting a precedent. Just even thinking about going back to our P O C D when we were discussing open space. And looking at the maps, we have a lot of open space in Berlin, but not all of it is protected as open space. So if we allow for this on public land, we could be watching our parks turn into massive solar fields. Which I think is really goes against what we're trying to accomplish there. Yeah, I'm just
Guess that's my big concern, just this spreading like wildfire and getting out of control.
So, thought process with regard to that, and again, I'm working through all the possibilities of regulation with regard to this and trying to do with Paul's help, wrap ourselves around what the siting council has purview over and what the town does. This is not Berlin land. So it's the city of New Britain that's deciding to use New Britain's land. I would also not consider it a vacant parcel. It has a use. The use of the parcel is the landfill. Albeit a no longer active landfill, but a landfill. So that property does have use. It's not otherwise vacant land. You'll see in the next item on your agenda is another inquiry we have that would be considered on vacant land for the town. There is the approach to have use variance be required, where they need to go to the zoning board of appeals to determine that it's use of land in an industrial zone. Use variances are only allowed in industrial zones. So that could be another route. I'm not sure they don't have this particular instance. They don't have the, I don't know if they have the timeline that would help them. Because, they already went through the siting council. That's my concern. So this is really a discussion and feedback and or you're granting us the ability. It's open-ended as far as.
I guess my question is, if this is New Britain land, why are we even involved in this?
Because you do with the zoning regulations, because it belongs to New Britain. But it's in the town. So it's just like a piece of property that's like supposed to, yeah. Their regulations are still subject to, the regulations within the limits of our town. The property belongs to the state. A good portion of Hungerford Park falls into the same category, because it's in Berlin. So they're a landowner. In this case, they. Involved without the coordination of knowing that others had forgiveness.
So you mentioned zoning board of appeal, and I have to say I like that idea because it would require the public notice. And I can see people already saying that we pulled a fast one on them and now there's solar panels going up all over the place. I think that would be important.
Couple questions on this, but a lot of times people.
We tried to get answers to those things.
Yeah.
That we could, so I
the-
appreciate more questions.
The city of New Britain does own this land. But it is a hazard right now. It's dumped in there, it's a landfill. Okay, but it's front and it's still, they bring a helicopter over there and get an infrared on it. It'll seem to show you that it's still burning. With that said, the siting council has the right to do whatever they want. Because we went through this before with siting. But again, with the fire thing that was brought up, okay, when that dump burned, Berlin went in first. Had a problem with firemen going down because what was burning in there. And then the Britain came in. Neither of the fire departments could control the fire. They had to bring in boots and coots out of Texas, oil people put out that fire. So it was a big, major project. Which was in our town. All the smoke and everything else was going in the town of Berlin. Okay, and my little pet peeve with the city of New Britain's always been that they stepped over us many a times with our water department, all our ponds. They took all the ponds for $1. Okay, we gave them ponds. They pump the water back to the city of New Britain. City of Water brings it back to Berlin, and we pay for it. Oh, that's okay. So the idea of getting taxes off, but now I think is a great thing. But we went through that tax problem before. Wilbur Park. Okay, when we went to tax them on up to their 50-yard line on the football field, because that's where the town line is. And they went through, and the town of Berlin basically caved in again, came up with a deal, and get small amount of taxes off the Wilbur Park, not even close to what they normally do. And again, with solar panels, especially in the dump there, they're not installed correctly. You know, I said it before, it looks like an ocean. You know, they don't level them off and make them look halfway decent for the land. They just put them where the land goes. And we don't want that look in there. I do want to know about what they going to. They said they brought up something about the fire department sharing costs or whatever they need to do. Okay, so there's got to be a cross agreement between the Britain Fire Department, New Britain Fire Department, and Berlin Fire Department, and who gets that money and who gets that equipment to take care of this fire if it comes out again. Okay, so that money issue again is there with the fire departments. It's there with the taxes. Okay, again, and you're learning this, is that the siting council will say that's what it is. Okay, they do it to us for the cell towers. Siting council, we don't have a say where the cell towers go. You know, so but we do have our ends of taxes, fire department equipment. Maybe we can get money for the fire department, donated to the fire departments, or charge them a tax for the fire departments, charge them a full tax for the land, because now it's going to be commercial land, because they're going to be making money off that. Okay, it's commercial land. Now we taxed it fully. Okay, not make a deal with them.
So,
That's my opinion now.
really quickly, because I told it, oh, it's down on the screen. I didn't think it was on the screen. I'm sorry. So we did this tax stabilization agreement was already made with the town. By going to town council in the summertime. So that amount in numbers was already established for what that would be.
I have, excuse me, I have just one question. If it's a good time. I'm wondering if with this proposal, if there is any plan in place for end of use of the panels. It's my understanding that these panels are not yet recyclable. And so without having an ability to dispose of them accordingly, I'd be curious what the end of life plan is.
I did not yet find that information. I did recall that question from the previous meeting. And I haven't gotten through those to find out whether I have that information. I don't believe we got a response at this time with regard to that question directly, you know. But I looked up again, you know, continue to look for it. I think most of the, well, some of the items you brought up, so far, obviously not related to the landfill itself and fire, but will be applicable to the next item on the agenda, so I'm gonna try and put our losses for time here and in a way combine that, so that we can include those comments with regard to the siting council, for the notice of the other solar panel application that came in.
Alright, so do you need anything from us or should we continue on?
No, I'm hearing that at this point, you would not like to proceed with staff administratively approving the building permit. And we'll see if I have more information to continue on to the next agenda and or have them appear or look at the approach of sending them to ZBA. If that's what's the legal way to go.
Sounds good to me.
Again, we're working through this. We haven't had solar panels proposed that weren't, to the best of my knowledge, that weren't associated with a use on the property, like the ones at the factories that we have that are generating electricity for there.
And Maureen, if I can, just one thing, and I think everyone else has hit on the other topics, so I won't be redundant, but the one thing that concerns me is that landfills are basically garbage and trees and boxes and, you know, all that stuff. Well, that stuff over time starts to decay and it collapses on itself. So if you've got this array of solar panels out there and they start collapsing, who's responsible for that? What kind of cleanup is there for that?
I think that's all this is a typical installation that is being found throughout the country on landfills. So I think that's something that I'm still researching through, how many of those questions have been answered.
Yeah. Now, is this landfill?
My thought process is the first through the country that's thought of some of these issues, so we've kind of been looking to see where the answers should be out there, so thank you for that reminder as well.
Yeah, because it's almost like the decay and settling of the landfill over time, and it will happen. Plus the potential fire underground will happen. And then I guess I gotta ask, I mean, who's the recipient of all this generated solar energy?
So for this one, it would be the city of New Britain. As far as I understand, as I said, when they were doing the fill permit on the other property, they were working with entities within Berlin so that we would be, and the way they presented it, that one they came in at a pre-application meeting before the fill permit, they had a pre-application meeting with multiple department staff. And that's where we understood that they would be, some of the electricity generated would be assigned to the amount of electricity utilized by a multiple specific tenant buildings. I think they were looking at one of the schools being offset the electricity. But in this one, it has not been identified, to the best of my knowledge, to any of the Berlin properties. The tax stabilization agreement was the agreement instead, or worked on this time. But I can ask and verify that information as well. I think Paul did, but I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm pretty sure that question was answered as soon as we got the building permit.
Yeah. Well, I just have my concerns about it.
All right, so I think we got a feeling on that one. So let's go to item B then, under commission business. Comments to CT Sitting Council notice regarding for construction of ground mounted solar panels on vacant property of Tritech Americas LLC at 0 Chamberlain Highway, MBL 30-2-74-40.
Okay,
This is a proposal that's going to the siting council for, and I told you that I was expecting it, but we now got it. Earlier, it's the vacant property that had belonged to one of the Venerable entities that's across from Butler Street. So you have the south end of Chamberlain Highway, you have Butler Street goes off and then comes back in, and there's a parcel across the street from that on the east side of Chamberlain Highway, and that is the parcel that they're proposing it at. There was a meeting earlier this year when I was out of the office that the town engineer and an informational meeting that the town engineer and our past assistant planner Dylan had attended, and at the behest of the informational meeting was held by the applicant for the benefit of the neighbors. That's who they noticed to be invited to the meeting, and then looped the town in, and so they went to that meeting, and we found out that it was happening, and those two gentlemen went to it. No, it was informational. There was really no outcome, and therefore we were then eventually expecting. The neighbors had no comments. I guess the one neighbor that was there indicated to our town staff that he didn't particularly have concerns, an immediate factors about it. And that's why we've been expecting something to be coming down the pipe from the siting council, but again, we don't have it yet. Or we just got the notice from the siting council, and as such, the town has the ability to write to the concerns to the siting council. So that's what I have to do in this case, which I missed the ability to do on the last one.
It's like 40 acres.
I'm gonna sell it. So I'm 1 second, you need to get there. I'm gonna pull up the wrong property because it's the closest thing I can think of.
while she's bringing this up, the other thing, Brian and the rest of the commissioners, is that, we have a plan of conservation and development out there. And I mean, one of the things that's very sensitive to is South Kensington and the vistas that's out there, and how we should be guardians of that, and be mindful of the growth. I think it's a valid point that Commissioner Acting Chair Rogan had brought up, that it seems interesting that all of a sudden everyone wants to put use to our open space or whatever, and throw out these just reams of solar panel farms. And I'm just not fond of this idea at all. I think perhaps if New Britain needs more energy, it should maybe start building a Walnut Hill Park. I don't know, they got lots of rolling vistas up there. But I don't see that as a good use of the property. But that is my opinion.
Just to clarify, in that I added that to the comments on the other. Then this is a different entity entirely. Or the second application is a different entity, has nothing to do with New Britain.
No, I understand that, but
Okay.
still,
Just want to make sure everybody did, and for the record.
Yeah, my feelings are pretty much the same, and especially after our last experience with making text amendments or changes to that area. And knowing the pitchforks and torches that showed up,
the least, I do not want to be doing anything, without noticing the public.
Thank God I was muted on that one, Brian.
So this is the property here, unfortunately, the pop-up covers it. The highlight of it, but it was the banner of the entity, now someone else owns it. I'll incorporate the comments you're making as well as some additional comments, noting again, this is the POD zone, so it's not the residential zone. It is listed as under an industrial zone. I'm almost positive. I don't believe it's a special zone.
Out of curiosity, would it be subject to the same bulk tables and setbacks?
That's for structures, yes.
Yeah, so, okay, screening and everything like that.
That would be for you to, determine that it would need to come to you for, recycling approval for the other proposal for.
I have a couple of comments also. I think that, and I don't recall the sections, but I think that there are state statutes in addition to our town regulations or the Tri-Town Pact, whatever we have to protect the those Trap Rock Ridge areas. So I'm curious how high up the panels might go on the easternmost portion of the property. The other thing that comes to mind is on the agenda, this is listed as ground-mounted solar panels, but I know myself that we've been approached by solar panel companies with the idea of installing solar panels that are elevated in a manner that would enable agricultural use to go on underneath or below the panels. So the panels might be elevated, high enough to get to be pasturing animals, say, as an example, and that the panels would shade areas or offer areas of shade for the pastured animals, or the panels might be elevated to a point where there's sufficient sunlight on the property to be growing a crop. And I'm just curious if that's part of the plan, or are these ground-mounted panels going to be the lower version that we're accustomed to seeing? I don't know if there's a supplemental plan in addition to the installation of the panels.
Trying to get everything we got from the siting council, and with regard to this, I don't know that I was provided that information on this one yet. The building permit application for the Deming Road proposal certainly has the profiles, and that's the screen I shared earlier showing where they would be installed, etc. Is all on that plan. I'm not sure what's in the plan. I'm short to go through the entire proposal of both of them.
Can you click on the property next door? That's 26.8 something acres.
This one is the one that is also owned
That's
by the same as that.
Meadowhaven, it's Caravana.
Yeah, and so is this one, but this one was not. This was a better one property.
That was a better proposal, and that's Meadowhaven, which is Caravana. Okay,
And so is that.
is available too. Okay, and that my so they're gonna put 26 acres of solar panels, and the property right next to it is vacant and open too. Now it goes to 50 acres or more of solar panels, and that becomes a siting council, okay. Thing, That's the, you know, the town doesn't get any benefits at all. You would think that the solar panel things, the Britain or whatever, some of the electricity should come to the town of Berlin. Okay, maybe supply all our lights that we bought, all the lights in the street lights in the town that we own now. You know, maybe they do that and light up our street lights, you know, but, you know, I don't think there's back thinking of the people, you know, for the town right now, because that back thinking wasn't there in the Britain, but I don't think it's there, okay? You know, so there's, not running for any council or anything like that. It just, about me. Just about how it needs to get.
I noted that as well. I just pulled up on the street view just to show the area of Chamberlain Highway. That's probably the best view you can get, given
Some of the best
the
property.
berm that's along
That
here.
property out there.
But I think that,
Cool.
I believe I'm on the right parcel here, because I'm between the. And it is an older view, because it doesn't look like anything. I believe it's this parcel. These are the houses that back to Butler Street. Lots of comments.
Alrighty, so I think that you got the feeling of the commission. So I guess we'll go on to old business then. Mr. Dyken, if you're out there, you can come back. Where did he go down?
I think he's probably there.
So we close it because of.
Thank you, gentlemen, Mr. Dyken, old business. So, old business A, proposed 2-lot subdivision of Eric Kukarzik, Oakland Developers LLC for an additional building lot at 65 Savage Hill Road, MBL 17-3-143-1A in the R15 zone. All right, so thoughts? Anyone can make a motion or?
I just want to remind the commission that you'll have to take actions on the waivers that they requested. And on the offering, easement. So sidewalks, easement, open space, those are the two separate actions that would be required. Okay,
Go ahead.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the 2-lot subdivision on Savage Hill Road, 65 Savage Hill Road, with the exceptions of the open space becoming a conservation easement, that's not going to say it, and to waive the sidewalks requirement.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, open for discussion.
So I just want to comment that generally the waivers would be separate motions, only because you need a super majority for those. As opposed to a majority for them. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But I want to make sure it's recorded correctly. I mean, if you got the super majority on the motion that combines them, that would be, I can't imagine it would be an issue, you know, anything's challengeable. And so
Missing numbers, the underground utilities.
They're doing.
they're providing those underground. Yeah. Not because.
So Mr. Miller, would you like to?
Rephrase my motion. I make a motion to approve the 2-lot subdivision at 65 Savage Hill Road. And with the change of the open space is now a conservation easement.
My second.
So the waiver on open space for conservation easement is your first motion.
Yes.
Okay,
Before
We got a
that, I
second?
think you need to vote on the waiver first, because otherwise the motion.
So this is a waiver though.
Just the way.
she just phrased the whole thing first, and then now we're just focusing on.
Right.
Let's just take everything back and just,
Why don't you do this one and I'll second it. I withdraw my motion
okay.
because I'm not working.
I'm
it
so
properly.
sorry.
Can I just,
It is one of those little technical things that are.
clarification, what exactly is the waiver that we're doing specifically?
Let's start with the sidewalk.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the sidewalk waiver for item 8A.
All right, do we have a second?
I second.
Open for discussion?
It's going against our, what we've been doing steadily. The commission, that if it's within a mile of schools, that we require them. Again, sidewalks, then. I don't know, whatever distance from Savage Hill to Berlin Street is, that's what the distance of sidewalks away is. And and with the school down there, it's that the whole school system, most of it walks to school too. And East Berlin is the village of East Berlin, so. I do not support the sidewalks.
Anything else?
I support the waiver of sidewalks because of, what the town has learned a little bit with the connectivity. Even though there's a preparation for, handicap crossing, it's being done. I think what I've seen as well, in all areas, and I approve his motion, or I support it.
What?
Alright, then all those in, oh, Joan, did you have something you wanted to?
No, I couldn't, I was just trying to follow through because the voices became a little muddied here. I'm sorry. So I guess I was kind of leaning in, trying to figure out what everybody was saying. So I'm sorry. So,
I'm the one that didn't have the mic on. My thing was that I think the sidewalks should go in. Because sidewalks are, whatever the gap of the plaza is there to Berlin Street, away from this project. The state has put the handicap ramp in there to cross that intersection.
okay,
And with the Hubbard School being within the mile.
yeah. And then June, you said something, but I couldn't pick it up. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, I apologize. I am in support of the motion. I agree that what we kind of have seen on the map today demonstrates that connectivity isn't there for making
Okay.
our effort with the sidewalk in at this time.
Oh, all right. Thank you. Thank you. No further comment.
Then all those in favor of the waiver?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
The waiver carries. Open space in lieu of, or no, conservation easement in lieu of open space.
I make a motion to waiver. Or to make a motion that conservation easement in lieu of open space for item 8B.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Open for discussion.
Mr. Chairman, my only point would be is that if it's a conservation easement, it'll be with the markers. I guess the concrete markers are the real formidable ones.
Mr. Dagan, do you amend the motion?
I so amended.
All right, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All those opposed? Waiver carries.
Tim, did you vote?
Yes, I, no.
Sorry, I was trying to listen to
I'm sorry.
everybody's voice, and I got everyone, but yes,
So we got the two waivers out of the way, and now we need a motion for the approval or disapproval of the subdivision.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the proposed subdivision.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
second.
We have a second. Open for discussion. All right, all those in favor, say aye.
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 All those against? The motion carries. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you all, I know that was difficult to get through. I appreciate you, please don't
Okay.
apologize, I didn't explain how it needs to get done, at least clearly.
Yeah, county looks like.
All right. Under old business, item B, special permit use application of Richard Pentor Esquire for all dry services of Connecticut and Rhode Island for proposed building services at 604 Rod Road, Unit 2, MBL 15-3-90-6-1-2. Property of 4 Rod Holdings LLC in the PI2 zone.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve the special permit for 604 Rod Road, which is item 8B.
We have a motion.
With staff comments,
Before staff comment, after staff comment.
well, with the staff comments.
With the staff.
Very good. All right, we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, open for discussion. Anybody? Any comments? Then I will take a call. All those in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
Again, unanimous of the report.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So now on to planner comments. Do you have anything for us?
Just the exciting news that the new assistant town planner is scheduled to start on Monday.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Who is it?
Alexa. And, yeah, I think I'll mispronounce her last name, so I'd rather not. It's short, but I just don't wanna mess it up. And, we're really excited about that, and we're working to, do interviews for the new administrative person, so. It was Fran's job, so it's big at going, but we've had pretty full days as far as working in interviews and trying to figure out when that can happen. Unfortunately, I'm hoping it can happen before the holiday, but it might be tough.
Maureen is the assistant town planner. It's a full-time position, correct?
Yeah.
Good.
They both are full-time positions. I will do a shout out to our part-time clerk that got some additional hours because of the vacancies. The town supported us financing that, and she's does all this compiling of stuff for you guys. And yeah, her and Polly have been rocks.
We appreciate it, everything.
All right, so we have an executive session next on our agenda, and I see that our attorney is online, so, and I see we have some people in the audience still, so how should we proceed with?
So my suggestion would be, oh, I guess Jennifer, can I try? And you can correct me if needed.
Yes, go ahead. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, so we do have a separate link for the members of the commission that are remote. I think I still need to send one of those out, because the email didn't go through that I sent earlier. To the one for Steve, but Steve, it'll be coming to you. You need to make a motion to go into executive session, inviting several parties, and I'll explain those in 1 second. Because you do have a number of different litigations on the agenda, which is up to you to invite the rest of us to the executive session. But my suggestion for who will be invited, I'll give you that list. And then the link the executive session has been established, so I have to allow them in. So when they're the right ones to attend, we'll take people out and invite them in, those that are attending remotely. You'll need to make a motion to go into executive session and announce that you will be adjourning the meeting from the executive session, so the public meeting will end. And we'll disable that link to, or that meeting, I'll shut the meeting down so that this regular meeting is no longer accessible. For items 1 and 2, which relates to 554 Berlin Turnpike litigation, I asked that Tim Sullivan be included in the invitation. So in the first place, inviting myself, Joanna Giusti, as well as the Nicola for the entire executive session, then Tim Sullivan for the items 1 and 2, and I think I refer to Tim if he has any professionals with him that he's join. No, just you, no one online. Okay, so that would be 1 and 2. Items 3 and 4, Little House Living LLC, and for items 5 and 6, which is 1906 Berlin LLC, I request you invite consultant Calder, developer Pat Snow, attorney Smith, who I don't believe is available, but I think if he became available, he should be able to get in, and their engineer Jack Georgina from Juliana Associates. And I believe that is everyone included on theirs. And then for items 7 and 8, which
Maureen, can I ask you to do us a favor? Could you
repeat
write,
those when
or just write it?
reading this to you.
Okay, and if whoever's making the motion, that's allowed.
8, it would just be that attorney Capola, and I think I'll hand it to Commissioner Dyken.
So just quickly, if I may, Mr. Georgina, Mr. Snow, and Mr. Chalder will be exiting after we discuss 1676. They will not be staying in for 1906 Berlin Turnpike. So just that one clarification on that. With regard to the rest of it, all is well. Again, I noticed we have one member of the public that remains online, and there may be some folks in the room. When the commission goes into executive session, the public does leave, and they are able to invite certain people to join. There are people that are going to be going in and going out of executive session, and we will be noting that in the minutes. That's important that we do that. But as far as the meeting in the main, once the motion is made by the commission and a vote is taken and passed, we will be ending the meeting. They will not be taking any action coming out of executive session. So the Zoom will end, and the folks that are in person will also need to exit the room. So again, thank you to those members of the public who were present, who participated tonight and joined us tonight. But once the vote is taken, the meeting will end. Thank you.
Mr. Dyken.
All right, just to clarify, this is gonna be one motion. I'm going to explain the terms of the motion. There will be individuals who will be certainly part of every single item, but there are always a won't, and they will come and go at the direction of Corporation Counsel and Town Planner, I suppose.
Yes, thank you.
I make a motion to go into executive session. Not one, to discuss the status of pending litigation for 550 to 554 Berlin Turnpike Associates LLC versus Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission and Town of Berlin, and possible action related to the same. And item number 2, consider whether to convene an executive session, discuss the status of pending litigation for 5 Berlin Turnpike Associates versus Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission, inviting Corporation Counsel Capola, our town planner Maureen, and Tim Sullivan. Item number 3, I guess I don't need to say whether to consider.
Yeah, it's just kind of the way it's done. I know it's a little inordinate, but it is the practice that because you are considering whether or not to convene. And then you are convening, and those are separate things. So that's why it's set up that way.
And now
We've always done it.
I'm going to now go to 8, also to discuss number 3, to discuss the status of pending litigation for Little House Living LLC versus Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission and Town of Berlin, possible action regarding the same. Consider number 4, consider whether to convene an executive session to discuss the status of pending litigation of Little House Living LLC versus Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission and Town of Berlin. Number 5, to discuss status of pending litigation of 1906 Berlin LLC versus Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission and Town of Berlin, and possible action relating to the same. Number 6, consider whether to convene an executive session to discuss the status of pending litigation of 1906 Berlin LLC versus Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission and Town of Berlin, and inviting the Corporation Counsel, our town planner, and consultant Glenn Chalder, attorney Smith, engineer Zach Georgina, and developer Pat Snow. Finally, items number 7 and 8. 7, discuss the status of pending litigation of David Luzicki et al. Versus Planning and Zoning Commission of Town of Berlin et al. And possible action relating to the same. 8, consider whether to convene an executive session to discuss the status of pending litigation, David Luzicki versus Planning and Zoning Commission of the Town of Berlin, inviting town staff, our town planner and corporation counsel, and to adjourn this regular meeting of the Berlin Planning and Zoning Commission in executive session.
That's just clarification.
So just, yeah, again, the clarification that Attorney Smith, Mr. Snow, Mr. Georgina, Mr. Chalder will only be with us for the 1676 Berlin Turnpike Associates litigation.
Yeah,
Number 1906. Thank you. That's okay.
I tried to say it wasn't clear. That's the clarification. Yes.
That's okay. Thank you.
All those in favor?
Who was the second on that, please? Who was the second? Thank you, Mr. Zigma.
All those in favor? Did I say that? All those in favor?
Aye.
So we will be going into executive session at 9:45.
And just for the clarification of anyone online or in the room, the regular meeting will not be reconvening. The planning and zoning commission will adjourn from